Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the talk show with DJ Gatsby. I'm your host, humble host of the talk show. I want to thank everybody that's been watching me the past few months since we relaunched the program. I've had a couple of guests and that have been very, very supportive of what I'm doing. Today we have a very important man that's back, Arif Khatib. He was actually on the show a few weeks ago talking about his book and the launching of that, but he's back today by popular demand, highly requested. We needed to get him back. There's a lot of other things he had in the works, so to speak, that he didn't get a chance to talk about too much. And Arif, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being back, man.
DJ, it's my pleasure, bro. Thank you for inviting me back.
Yeah. I want to apologize to everybody who tuned in for the show a few weeks ago. We had some technical difficulties, some things that happened. We couldn't get the show on. Arif was gracious enough to understand why we didn't do the show and to reschedule and come back. So Arif, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for agreeing to come back on the show, man. I know how busy you are, and I know how important it is for you to get the message out of what you're doing with the film. But thank you so much, man, for agreeing to come back on the show.
I've been on that same side of the mic you're on. I know it's actually difficult to do. We got to make the adjustment.
All right, so for those few people, sports enthusiasts or sports fanatics that don't know who you are, tell them a little bit about yourself, man, and how you became so prominent and influential in historical aspects of sports in the Black community and with other people of color.
Well, I didn't set out to do that, quite frankly. It didn't happen necessarily by accident. I think I made it happen, but I just had a strong feeling about sports and the discrepancies in sports as it relates to various ethnicities. And I just felt it was important that I offer whatever I could offer, the experiences that I had, and some of the resources that I could bring to the force. And so that's why I really got involved in sports. And after beginning to do that, it became my life to a certain extent. Other things, but sports is one of the things that it broadens the mind and it opens a lot of doors and eyes for a lot of people because sports is so popular.
Sure. It's definitely an equalizer in the community. It's definitely an equalizer when it comes to races. A lot of people, when it comes to sports, they don't really care who you are, where you're from, what color you are. If you excel in athletics, they really support you in that way. And the thing about it that you brought to my attention is that people of color weren't afforded that opportunity to participate athletically in so many sports. And when they did, a lot of the historical aspects of it was lost. And brothers like you bring that to the forefront. And from the last interview, I told you I was amazed at some of the stories you were telling me about people of color who participated in sports and groundbreaking, record-breaking feats that kind of went unnoticed, or those people come unnoticed. And I say that to bring attention to the film, because the film, even though you have the multi-ethnic sports hall of fame, and you have a lot of people from all over the world inducted, there's still an aspect of what you do that's missing. And with this film, I think it's a groundbreaking film, and it's really going to reach people around the world and give them a visual of how important these athletes have been in sports history.
It always has, DJ, by sending out the trailer across the world. It's great response from it, and I anticipated that because, as you suggested, a lot of Black and brown did not have opportunity back in the day to participate in sports, not on the high level of the others. So consequently, I thought it was necessary to fill that void. Film and the companion book does that, in my opinion, quite well.
Okay, so real quick before we go too far, what is the title of the book? And give us a little, give our viewers an insight on what the book is about, because you recently were talking about your book on the last time you were on the show. Let's touch on the book real quickly. What's the title, and what can people look forward to in that book when they buy it, read it?
The book was released on November the 30th, and right now is having quite a start. I must add.
Okay.
I'm thankful for that. It's called In the Shadow of Obscurity. Toiling in a reluctant society. And the book is basically about unheralded heroes in the athletic field. The same folks we alluded to earlier in this conversation, that who back in the day did not have the opportunity to participate fully in sports because they of their race, and so consequently, we wanted to highlight that. We wanted to show America and the world that athletes of color, black and brown, have made major contributions to American sports and society in general. So
Around the world, yes.
the book does that as well as the film. I purposely did not include people in the film that's in the book, and vice versa.
Sure.
So you could read about certain people in the book, and then you can see others in the film, but they're always in the same boat, as you say.
Okay. All right. Now, the title of the film is Because They Believed. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Now, when did the concept of the documentary film come to you? You know, we talked about the book, but the film, you know, when did you get to that point where you said, you know what, I need to do a film? I have an idea and a concept, and I need to do a film. Tell us how that all came to pass.
That came to me in 2008 when
Okay.
when I felt that it might have more of an impact if it was visceral.
Mhm.
People could actually see these folks as opposed to read about them in the book. And so I set out to do that documentary. I was fortunate enough and been blessed throughout life to have known a lot of great national and international known athletes. So I began to choose whom I was going to include in the film. And I went out and interviewed all of them, 22 subjects in 10 years. Some of them are no longer with us, unfortunately, but they're in the film. And so that was the impetus for the film, was to just show people they could see it. I did not have any clue that television, social media, Netflix, is all the other networks for people where they are today. When I thought of this film and started it,
Okay.
I was looking at about 5 channels.
Okay. We're going back a little bit.
A much wider audience than I'm blessed to know that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the concept in itself, it was in a long time coming. Now, because you know, I've seen documentaries and shows on TV, especially mostly sports shows, when they have this footage of black and white footage of athletes like Jim Thorpe or some of these Wilma Rudolph. You know, a lot of these older the films are black and white, so you know that's before my time. I came up in the colored, you know, TV era, but there's a lot of footage that's out there, but there's never been a specific film with the passion and resources that you have to put the film together. You know, I you're very well known, very well respected, over decades and decades of athletes. You've known a lot of them personally, and when I met you and you told me about the Multicultural Sports Hall of Fame, I had to do research to say, okay, he's got this multi-ethnic Sports Hall of Fame. Who's in it? How far does it go back? How extensive is it? You know, what is the pedigree from some of the athletes? And I was amazed that you knew so many of these athletes, or even knew about them. And so, you know, it makes me want to look forward to the film even more. So how does the film correlate with the Hall of Fame? Are these athletes in the Hall of Fame, or are they, you know, unsung athletes that are in the film?
I would say 90% of the people in the film are in the Hall of Fame, or in the film, vice versa.
Okay, all right.
And so I looked at that as an extension of the Hall of Fame, which is to broaden the public's understanding of the contributions that Black and brown people have made, and the contributions to ethics. And I felt that would be a good start. And to keep in mind this, I did not write the book nor do the film for money. It is designed to teach. I heard people are telling me right now, "Hey, Arif, your book is your bestseller, man." I feel I'm not looking for a bestseller. I'm looking for a best teacher. And church funds, that's all well and good, but I really do this to help people to understand the contribution that people, Black and brown people, have made to contribution to country. Because right now, during the systemic and polarized country, we need to know more about the contribution that non-whites have made to American schools.
Yeah. What was the response from friends, colleagues, athletes, their families, and some of the other sports institutions? What was the response when you mentioned the film and started working on the film and coming to completion? What was the response from the sports world, so to speak?
I've had overwhelming support because these athletes, pretty much, I'd say 75% of them, when they have the induction ceremony, they become emotional.
Sure.
Because they were overlooked, and they almost all of them would say, "I thought people forgot me."
Wow.
I didn't know people really knew me, because the traditional halls of fame overlooked them because they were not the color that they were looking for. It's unfortunate, DJ, that we have some of the situations we have now, but not just now, but going back. You have 4 major halls of fame, and a very small percentage of those halls of fame have athletes of color. Some of them will induct 3 athletes and 4 athletes, 3 whites, but yet the Black and brown comprised 80% of that sport. So I felt it was time to fill that void, and that's what this is all about.
It's interesting that you make that point, because the integration of sports was done reluctantly.
Absolutely.
It was done begrudgingly. It was, I think the talent of the athletes made it impossible for them to keep them out of mainstream, baseball, basketball, and football. In baseball, you had the Negro Leagues, and a lot of these players were better than the players in the majors. So that was my concern about. I was wondering how were they looking at it, but with my research, man, your organization has been legitimized. It's been embraced. It's been recognized, and people are talking about it. When I talk to people about it, yeah, I've heard of it. I understand what it is. God in Oakland, and even some of the interviews that I've seen with some of the people that you've met, they're very enthusiastic about what you've done. I mean, as I said before, I tip my hat to you. Kudos to you for seeing that need. We're not educated enough on sports and the changes that they've made, or the things that people have been through that brought changes to everyday life. How do you feel about that aspect of sports? How what they do transcends all across the board in all walks of life. The doors and barriers that these athletes have kicked in.
Well, the powers that be almost had to accept us into the sport because of economics. Everything is built around economics. The best players, the best athletes, all of those were people of color. So consequently, they were forced to a certain extent for full inclusion in order to meet their objectives, and that is to money. Make some money.
Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah.
I found that to be pretty much everywhere I traveled. One of the reasons why, DJ, that the Hall of Fame is going to be known Well, because I've done these ceremonies all over the world.
Okay.
I've done them in different parts of the United States and the world, for that matter, because as a nonprofit, without sponsors, we couldn't afford to fly people in, put them up in hotels and all the ground transportation limos and all that good stuff. So we would go to them. In addition to that, I felt it made sense to go to the region and the area where these athletes live, because people know who they are there. Many of them would say, I don't know why that guy's not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why that lady is not in the Hall of Fame. But we would go there and we would induct them wherever they are. And I think that helped out popularity and support system all across the board.
Yeah, that's another amazing part of what aspect of what you're doing, and I've heard, contemporary athletes talk and say this one is not in the, the basketball Hall of Fame, but the baseball Hall of Fame. And it's almost as if that same discrimination or that same racist aspect that athletes had to fight to be a part of professional sports. And now you have to fight to be recognized after you're done and inducted in these Hall of Fame. And, that's something that still goes on to this day. Now, back to the film.
Yeah.
You said you were interviewing the athletes for the film. Now, are these contemporary interviews of athletes from yesterday and yesteryear? Or is it a mixture of both, like contemporary athletes from the 60s, 70s, 80s, across the decades in the film?
From about 1940 to 1968.
Wow.
Okay. In that group. And
okay.
And I went to each one of them that did not live in the area here, hired a production crew in that area, and interviewed them personally. Now, I'm not on camera. I'd be off camera, and then the moderator will take care of that part. I went to, once again, we were looking at economics. I did not have one of these large filming budgets. I didn't have a large corporation. We had to do what we had to do. Many times I drove to where I needed to go to film these folks. Paid for the film, paid for the whole 9 yards, and my own expense. But it was to put these folks on film so that the ones that followed them would know the contributions that they made.
So in effect, not only is a documentary where you're recognizing and shining a spotlight on the achievements of these people, it's in a way paying homage to these athletes and thanking them for their contribution to the sports world with a film like this. Now with the people that you interviewed, how were they responding? I mean, were they happy? They were surprised? Let's say in about time somebody came and interviewed me or talked to me about what I achieved. What are some of the responses you got from the actual athletes that are in the film?
I wondered sometimes why they were so interested in doing the film. They would just tell me. I wasn't there for me. They would say, "Hey, brother, I appreciate what you're doing, man. Because first of all, you're asking the right questions because you understand.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you taking the time to document this. And I can tell you're not doing this for the money. You're not doing this to go and win a bunch of awards at the theaters. You're doing this to document history and our contribution to history. So whatever you want, I will give it for you. I never had to pay anybody for any interviews.
Yeah.
And they were all enthusiastically involved in the process. I had some athletes tell me, so I'm going to tell you something I never told anybody.
That's right.
Yeah, and they would tell me that. I said, "Can I film it?" "Yeah, I want you to film this." But I never told anybody. I can tell you. So that's the kind of film. That's the kind of film it's going to be. It's going to bring tears to some people's eyes.
Well, that's a testament to who you are. I mean, I can only assume that several of these athletes, or a lot of them, either have heard of you or heard of the your Hall of Fame or something about what you do. But when you mention value in doing things for the love or just to share wisdom, knowledge, and understanding with others. There's an intrinsic value in that in itself. Because you're teaching, you're educating, you're inspiring another generation, a future generation, by telling them, about these athletes of the past, and so they'll know whose shoulders they stand on, or what athletes had to go to for them to be where they are. These athletes are spoiled these days. I was the NBA just started. I'm looking at these NBA contracts and the dissenting that everybody's getting, and I'm saying, but I was really interested in talking to you because these are humble athletes. And from some of the research I did, a lot of them didn't even have the sponsorship. A lot of them didn't even get any help to be in these positions and play these sports that the other counterparts did. What is one of the most interesting stories from the film, or interesting interviews from the film that you can share with us?
There were several, but I'd like to make a point of one in particular.
Okay.
His name is Billy Mills. Billy Mills will be featured on our gala tomorrow, that we have talked about now.
Okay.
And Billy Mills has a unique and unusual story as an indigenous person who won the 10,000 meters gold medal in 1964 and becoming the second Native American, that they called them at that time, to win a gold medal for the United States. But what's more significant to that is the fact that the United States had never won 10,000 meters before him, and have not won since. So for those who have these hidden animosities towards various races, but like sports and the Olympics, not have this Native American win that gold medal, the United States would be shut out in the 10,000 meters.
Yeah.
The other thing is some of the stories that he shared with me on the reservation, and the challenges that he had at Kansas University as an all-American track and field person. It's essentially something that you cannot even believe could happen. But as an African American myself, I knew it happened, and I know the criticism, I know the racism that he faced.
Of course,
all faces over the years. So it was easier for me to address that. And back for a moment, when you were talking about the athletes, how did they feel about it? Most of these athletes, the majority of them, were already in my Hall of Fame. So they were on stage talking about how privileged it is and how important it is and how much they appreciate it. So when I approached them about the film, whatever you want, man.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, just let me know when you want to do it. I clear my calendar. It was that kind of thing.
Sure. It's something about people, particularly Black people of color, is when you're recognized by your own. A lot of times people will say, why don't we have this? We want to get in the Grammys. You want to be in American Music Awards, and now Soul Train Awards come up. And it's an outlet. It's an opportunity to shine light on our own. And so that's why when I spoke to you and you told me about the Hall of Fame, I was so excited about it that you did that. Now you had mentioned a gala or some events, fundraising events that are going to be taking place. Tell us a little bit about these events, how people can participate and or donate and help fund this project that around the film.
Yeah, tomorrow, December the 16th, in collaboration with the NFL Alumni Northern California chapter and their Caring for Kids program, they have agreed to join me in their effort to raise funds to finish this documentary. And so tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 6 p.m., we'll have a live gala and an auction. It's going to be so much fun, man. I mean, it's going to be fun. I've got a couple of surprises for people and then surprise interviews. I won't tell you who they are now. But and then, of course, I mentioned to you about Billy Mills is going to be one of them on that. And we're going to show part of this film. And
Okay.
we're gonna have some other surprises for folks, but beyond that, there's some incredible gift opportunity for Christmas for people who want to come on and bid on them while you support our endeavor of raising funds for the Hall of Fame and for the NFL's Caring for Kids. So they can, it's tomorrow at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. They can call me at 510-629-2895, and I'll give them more information on how they can really register, because sometimes you lose that when you get the websites on the air like this. And so if they call me, I can be more specific and I can give them all the information they need.
Sure. Listen, I'll help you, man. I'll promote this thing. If you've been telling me about it before, we had spoke before about the silent auction thing that you had or were having, and some of the sports memorabilia that you guys were making available. And yeah, anything I can do to help, you spread the word about this event tomorrow, man. After we finish, we can definitely talk about it, and I'll do my part.
So far, we're receiving quite a response. The NFL has reached out to all of its members and all of its Hall of Famers. They tell them about the items that we have for an auction tomorrow night. I'm going to drop a couple of names to folks who want to do it. You're going to have an opportunity to bid on a 15-minute video chat with Dr. John Collins.
Okay.
With Dusty Baker, with Billy Mills, the father of judo in the Olympics, Coach Uchida, and of course the world's greatest agent, Lee Steinberg. All of those items, all those items will be up for bid tomorrow, and you get a chance to speak to these delightful gentlemen a little later on. But we hope you'll come on and support us tomorrow. Not just to support us, but come on and have some fun and bid on these incredible items that we have. We have some one-of-a-kind items.
Sure.
We have one. I'm going to lay on the Warrior fans all over America and the world. We have the signed basketball from their first World Championship in 2016, 2017, with every player on that team. 5 or 6 of them are no longer there. And so you will have a real keeper. We have some baseballs autographed by Willie Mays and Willie McCovey. We have some outstanding golf foursomes that Carmel. They're just some really, people have just been so wonderful to donate these items for us because they believe in what the Hall of Fame is doing, and because they believe in what the NFL is doing about caring for kids. So we invite you to come on tomorrow afternoon. Give me a call. I'll tell you how to register. Again, I got to tell you now that it's hard to do that unless you see it, because you hit the wrong button on your website, you don't get it.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely do my best. My followers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, to let them get this information on how they can contact you, or how they can bid on these items or be part of this historic event. It sounds like something that's been in a long time planning. It sounds like something that's really, really needed. And partnering it with the film and giving people an opportunity to really understand what you're doing and how important these people are by making this sports memorabilia available to them is amazing. Because there's a lot of sports memorabilia out there.
DJ, I want to say something that's important. We're partnered up with pioneers in the digital auctions, Charity Works, for that event tomorrow. Charity Works has been the silent auction provider for probably 75% of my Hall of Fame ceremonies.
Okay.
So now they're moving into the digital world and in the virtual world, and they're partnering up with us and the NFL tomorrow night we're going to put on a show. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, well, digitally doing it online, now you're worldwide. You mentioned that before. You kept mentioning that.
Yeah.
How, being on the internet, you're actually reaching people all around the world.
Absolutely.
Who know about your organization. Many of them are in the Hall of Fame and are very anxious and really celebrate, people of color and African American athletes in America. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, and because whenever you have the Olympics, whenever you have the World Championships around the world, these countries get a chance to see these athletes in action. So a lot of these names that you mentioned, there've been some very historical events, particularly like the Olympics, where a lot of people of color made their mark, representing the United States and came back home and wasn't recognized, weren't loved, or even cherished as national treasures. So your organization really does that. And the fact that you have the book, you have the film, and now you have an auction and a growing fan base for the Multicultural Sports Hall of Fame, man, is amazing. It's amazing. Kudos to you again.
Hard work pays off. That's all I got to say. You got to work at it.
All right, so we've talked about the film. You're going to be screening segments of the film.
Yeah.
Do we have a release date? Do we have a time that the film may be? Because I'm sure people have been excited now. We're talking about the movie. People will be very excited about this film, and when it will be released, they'll get a chance to see it.
Obviously, it's all predicated upon the amount of funds we raise tomorrow to support the film. And if we reach our goal, with a very small amount, quite frankly, of $25,000, we reach our goal tomorrow night. That film will be available February 1.
Oh wow! Oh, so everybody listening, you heard that?
We're 75% done right now. It's just a matter of some archives and some editing. And we can knock that out enough as right if you have the money. We've been doing it piecemeal, quite frankly. Work whenever we get the money. We'll get what we do tomorrow night. There's a film by February 1st. I guarantee it.
Okay.
And all right, so right now on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Oh, that's the book?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the book's hot, man. I didn't. I'm gonna have to speak to your publisher, Elvin Nelson Hayes, about that. I was looking forward to getting a copy of the book. She said she would reach out to me, but she's working on so many projects right now. She probably hadn't a chance to do that. But I'm definitely looking forward to the book.
Okay.
All right. So you're raising money for the film. You have this event coming up. What are some of the outlets or distribution networks that you contacted or been in touch with who are concerned about this film, its distribution, and getting it out, to the fans of the organization and your work?
There's only one network that I've had a conversation with, and that's by design.
Okay.
I intend for the people who will want to see this film, I want it to be driven by demand. And so consequently, we'll do a number of film festivals, and then we'll get distributors from those film festivals. But the first showing on television, if I could do it my way, will be in Canada. Canadian Broadcast Company. They are much more socially aligned with what we are doing. We are here.
Okay.
They're a lot more permissive, and I can hit the whole country at one time. And we have a Canadian icon in the film that was filmed by the Canadian Broadcast Company when I interviewed it.
Wow.
So they have a vested interest. And this person, the school's named after him, is African Canadian.
Yeah.
Have schools named after him and a hockey arena named after him. So he well loved and liked in Canada, and I'm going to do the film in Canada first, and then let it come back to the United States, let it go where it's going to go. I get it on my head to let it go.
I like when you said there's more, you'd like to deal with a company or distributors that are more in line with what you're trying to do. We understand the capitalistic nature.
Yeah.
And the way things are exploited when you don't keep control of content and what you're trying to do. You want the message to get out the way you want it, and you want that creative control of your product. So that's very important.
Yeah, you see, we got like NBC and ABC, CBS here. Well, CBC in Canada is the same thing, but they don't look at it the same way. They look at it for the economics. They look at it for
exactly
the social contribution that it can make to the country and helping to bring people together. So I don't have to fight about the money. I don't have to fight about the impetus. I have to fight about why you're doing this. They understand why it's being done. And then hopefully then I can use that to educate America so they then will take a look at it. If not, I don't have a problem with it.
No, listen. What you're doing is an historical thing.
It's going to be
that's going to be there forever.
It's going to be part of the communication system to historical black colleges, and that's where I feel good about it.
Well, it's an educational tool. Each one teach one.
Absolutely.
You from the interview I did with you before, I saw that nature. You're an educator. You're a motivator. You're an inspirator. You like to build people up. You like to educate people. You like to share accomplishments. And you understand, that people of color are the ones who don't have those opportunities. No one's reaching out to them, or no one's trying to document and share any achievements here in America. In a lot of cases, with the educational system, it's being suppressed. So it's refreshing that you've chosen to do this. And you have the support of the sports community, because those are the ones who really need the exposure, because so many people of color look to sports as an educational tool, as a financial tool, to make it in life. So I look forward to it, because I'm an avid reader. I like films, and I like this sports history as well. And the work that you've done, the recognition that you've had, man, speaks to that, speaks volumes to that. And with the book and the film, I see is the tip of the iceberg of what you got planning, or what people can look forward to in the future from you, man. I'm just amazed. I'm just buckling my seatbelt up, man, and say, hey, I met this brother. This brother's doing big things. I just want to follow him and learn as much as I can about people of color in sports, and I don't know what to say, man. I'm sitting there blushing, but I really appreciate you coming back on the show. Now,
it's my pleasure, DJ, because you see, sport has the power to change the world.
Absolutely.
And we need young athletes to know whose shoulders they're standing on.
Yes.
And that they can achieve and accomplish anything they want to achieve. And this book and this film is designed to do exactly that, to inspire them to reach heights they could never thought they could.
And
appreciate you bringing me on, man. I really do.
Yeah.
I thank you for your time. I thank you for your interest. And of course, I thank you for your continued support.
I want to make another point. At this time, everything happens in its own time. But your book and the film is very timely, because athletes are at the forefront of the Black Lives Matter movement, civil rights movement, voter participation movements. Athletes are looked to as civil rights leaders, so to speak, in a lot of ways. So, and in history, they've always been having that desire, but they've been suppressed in so many ways. This year, with the COVID era and police brutality and so many things that happen in the country, they've stepping out to the forefront, and they've embraced that responsibility of being role models or stepping out and speaking out on injustice. So your film, it's about brothers and sisters who've done that all their lives just to be able to participate. So I think the film is timely. I think the book is timely. I think it's going to be very relevant to young and old viewers and readers. And I just look forward to the opportunity to see it. Well, I want everybody, it's Talk Show with DJ Gatsby. I'm going to give you another minute. It's Talk Show with DJ Gatsby with sports historian, author, filmmaker Arif Khatib is talking about this book. Sorry, his latest book, but his upcoming film, Because They Believed. Seemed like you wanted to say something else.
Yeah, I just want to say you're absolutely correct about the timing, because there can never be a greater need than right now. With polarization that's happening right now in America. You turn on your TV, you can see what's happening with the wars or whatever they're called, the white supremacist groups. But we need something to calm America down.
Sure.
And this book and this film can do that, because it lets them know that all people, black and brown people, are not just looters and drug dealers.
No.
They have made major contributions to your economic base, and particularly to American sports and society in general. So both of these projects are timing, and I knew that, thought of that when I did.
Yeah. All right, I just noticed one thing that you said you're mentioning about the gala that you have coming up, your relationship with the NFL and how you partnered with them in this project. Kudos to you on that. That's not easy to do, to work with these organizations, these sports franchises, because there's always, for them, it's always about the bottom line. But the NFL has been very charitable and does a lot, and particularly with African Americans in sports. And I love to see them partnering with you for doing this project. I just wanted to throw that in there.
It helped them with make the decision, because I was deducted over 145 minutes.
Okay, all right. Now, before we go, man, I want to see a big shout out to Oakland. I'm looking at your bio and some of the things you've done. You've kind of the darling son of Oakland. You've been in award. I just saw you were a Jefferson Award winner. You were inducted, was it the Oakland Hall of Fame or the California Sports Hall of Fame or something like that? Your recognition, I wouldn't say long overdue, but is well deserved. And congratulations to you, to all the accolades you've received for the hard work that you've done. You are you're an amazing man, and a mentor and a role model to thousands and thousands of people in and out of the sports world, man. And I'm the more I read about you, the more I'm amazed about what you've achieved and the work that you've done to help the Black community, people of color, and specifically athletes of all sports. And that would amaze me about it, because these athletes are all sports. Like you got people in the Multicultural Hall of Fame of sports that some of them I'm like, okay, I didn't even know there were that many people of color involved in a lot of these sports.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And the whole philosophy parallel is giving. And that's really what I'm about. I'm about giving.
Well, I'm definitely aboard. I'm definitely part of the team. Anything I can do to help, you promote, advertise, get this word out, share these gifts with the book and the film. Please feel free to reach out to me. Once again, I want you to tell everybody about the gala, when it is, and how they can participate before we go.
Start tomorrow, December the 16th. Actually, online right now is the silent auction. To choose some auction, go there tomorrow to say if you were successful in your bid. But the live auction will begin tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that's when the fun's really going to begin, because I'm going to interview live athletes and surprise folks. Some others there. We're going to talk about the film. We're going to show portions of the film. We're just going to have some fun, okay?
Yeah, listen.
First and foremost, it's going to be a fun evening. It's designed for fun. But at the same time, we wanted to generate funds for the NFL's caring for kids and for this film, to complete this film. But most of all, to highlight the contributions that these athletes have made and give people an opportunity to show their support for. And they can, again, 510-629-2895, and I'll give you all the information you need.
Yeah, like I said, well, after we finish up, after we wrap, get a few minutes, we can talk about that, and then I can just start helping out with that, because a lot of people are going to be following me from the show, probably asking questions or inboxing me, but at least I'll have that information.
I'll send it over to you in writing. You can look at it.
Okay. All right. Once again, everybody, the talk show.
When they get in touch with you.
All right. Once again, to talk show with DJ Gatsby, and we're with Mr. Arif Khatib, author, film producer, sports historian, talking about his book and his film. Man, listen, you're like the only person that I've had that's been gracious enough to come on this my humble show twice. I'm gonna have to ask you again to come back and in the future, sometime next year, doing the release of the film or after the film. There's so much more to who you are and the work that you're doing worldwide for the people of color in the sports community, that it's a story that I want to keep following and keep bringing to my viewers. Because as I said, it's like the tip of the iceberg, and there's much more to come. You know, a book and a film, and you're still with the Multicultural Sports Hall of Fame. We can talk about that some more, as well as what people can look forward to in 2021 from you, my brother.
I appreciate you, man, and this is how to reciprocate in terms of coming on your show when you need it, because you're doing a great job. I want to thank you for what you're doing too. I'm blessed,
man. I'm blessed. I thank God for having people like you in my life, man. Really do. It's much more than just an interview. You know, it's an inspiration. And again, thank you, man.
Keep disseminating information, okay?
All right. Once again, everybody, thank you for watching the talk show with DJ Gatsby. My guest was Arif Khatib. Don't forget, you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Watch me on Facebook. Watch Facebook Live, Instagram TV, as well as YouTube TV. Visit my website, Who's Who in African American Literature, and just follow me, DJ Gatsby, on Facebook. Peace. God bless. Happy holidays. Everybody stay COVID free. Arif, thanks again, my brother.
You bet. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you. Good night. God bless.